North West is going viral for all the wrong reasons. She was spotted with face tattoos, a grill in, and wearing contacts. She was taking a private jet to a concert with a bunch of problematic people accused of dangerous crimes. So, what is Kim Kardashian thinking?
I'm not spending any time on Kim Kardashian. I can't do it. She brought her 9-year-old daughter, not with her to the gala, but like in the car to watch her walk off. I guess I am going to spend a minute on it.
Kanye West allegedly exploded publicly over Kim Kardashian's choices for their daughter North's looks. Fans have erupted, tabloids ran wild, and suddenly a child's Halloween clip became a culture war signal flare. Today, we're threading the receipts. What reputable outlets actually reported, which claims came from tabloids and fan threads, what Kanye reportedly said in public rants, how Kim defended her parenting choices, and why this argument about a child's wardrobe has become a battleground for custody optics, culture war chatter, and celebrity parenting standards. I'll attribute every claim, call out tabloids, and keep young ones protected in what we discuss.
Hey everybody, I just got off the phone with Kim. I told her to stop antagonizing me with this TikTok thing. I said it's never again. I am her father.
My mental health starts to get affected, and then I can't parent the way that I need to, and I can't be present and focused, then there's got to be one of us that can.
Start with the ignition. There's a viral Halloween clip where North imitated popular streamers, and that clip drove the initial wave of attention. The Tribune later reported that the situation escalated into a clash between Kim and Kanye over North's bold new look. Yahoo followed with a story summarizing Kanye's public criticism, noting his emotional tenor and the way the comments fed a larger co-parenting dispute narrative. These outlets create the backbone of the reporting we have to parse. The Daily Mail published dramatic photo spreads and emphasized temporary tattoos, faux piercings, and makeup in ways that inflamed reaction. Because Daily Mail is a tabloid, its sensational language should be treated as hot take rather than sober evidence. I'll mark those references accordingly. The timeline matters. First came the viral Halloween imitation. Then, social media reaction splintered. Some viewers applauded North's confidence and cosplay interpretation, while others expressed alarm about adult aesthetics applied to a child. As these reactions continued, Kanye's public statements were reported, and the story hardened into a parent versus parent dispute in the public eye. Yahoo emphasized his vocal frustration. Now, what did Kanye reportedly say? Trade outlets summarized his public rants as a furious reaction to the way his daughter was being styled and presented. The precise wording varies by report, but the tone is consistent across reliable reporting. He expressed alarm and displeasure publicly, and that public airing turned a viral clip into a headline story. The Tribune and Yahoo both attribute the rhetoric to public reports rather than private conversations. Kim's response, as covered by Times of India, was largely defensive. She framed North's look as a playful imitation of streamers and called the controversy such a non-issue. That line of defense emphasizes contextualization. Temporary makeup and Halloween cosplay are different from permanent styling choices. Outlets quoted Kim's defenders who urged readers to see the look as trend-based mimicry rather than exploitation. Let's parse out evidence versus amplification. Yahoo and the Tribune report the clash and Kanye's public critique with a degree of sourcing and context. Daily Mail amplifies images and employs sensational phrasing. Social platforms like X and Reddit provide a temperature check on fan reaction, but are not primary source evidence of parental intent. That distinction matters when weighing claims about a child's welfare and parental behavior. Why does this controversy resonate so intensely? Because North West is a public child whose image is highly mediatized. Every clip becomes a text to decode. Some viewers read a child's imitation as creative play. Others read it as commodified image making. Those interpretive frameworks are rarely neutral and often reflect broader anxieties about childhood exposure in social media cultures. Now examine the criticism that Kim is a bad mom. That accusation circulates widely on social feeds and in tabloid commentary, but it is primarily an evaluative opinion, not an evidentiary conclusion drawn by trade reporters. The Tribune and Yahoo reported the dispute and quoted parental statements. They did not adjudicate moral failure. So when you hear the bad mom claim, recognize it as a normative judgment issued by fans and tabloids rather than established facts. The related and serious claim that Kim prevents North from seeing Kanye needs strict sourcing. Public articles quoted Kanye's frustration about contact and co-parenting dynamics, but neither Tribune nor Yahoo published court filings showing legal denial of visitation. If you see claims that North is being blocked from her father, demand legal documentation or an explicit official statement. Without that, treat access denial claims as allegations or rumors. Let's get granular about the viral clip itself. Times of India framed the Halloween post as direct imitation of Twitch personalities, which is imitation only. The difference is crucial. A child copying a streamer for a costume is developmentally normal. A child styled in a way that evokes adult mentality is problematic. Reporting suggests the former. Tabloid framings often rush to the latter. Context is not exculpatory automatically, but it deserves consideration. Now, a word about tabloids and ethics. Outlets like Daily Mail commonly foreground visual shock and provocative captions. When young ones are involved, that approach risks ethical harm. Responsible reporting requires labeling tabloids as such and avoiding replication of these descriptions. In this video, any tabloid claim will be labeled and held apart from trade reporting. Fan reaction provides color. On X and Reddit, threads broke into pro-Kanye, pro-Kim, and this is overblown camps. One cluster argued the styling was inappropriate and called for parental restraint. Another cluster defended Kim and contextualized the clip as harmless play. These are mood indicators. They show public sentiment, but they are not judicial findings. That split reveals the polarized nature of celebrity-fueled debates. Let's talk about motive and optics. Critics suspect that attention-hungry visuals may be curated for engagement. It's fair to ask whether public figures might unintentionally conflate content creation with parenting. But motive is an inference that requires evidence. Content is observable. We can say a clip went viral and generated engagement. Whether that engagement was the intent of styling is a separate question that reporters must handle carefully. Now examine co-parenting dynamics. Kanye's public expression of alarm must be understood in the broader context of their post-divorce interactions. The Tribune cites the clash within ongoing parental disputes over influence and image. And Yahoo notes that tensions have sometimes played out publicly. Again, public statements get coverage. Private negotiations remain private until filed or publicly stated. Consider the gendered dimension. Mothers often shoulder disproportionate blame for children's appearances in public discourse. Observers note that a mother's curatorial choices are judged as moral character decisions, while fathers' outbursts are sometimes framed as protective. That asymmetry should be criticized. Apply the same scrutiny to both parents' public roles and ask for evidence before moralizing. Now, a practical policy angle. How should public parents handle viral child content? Best practices include clear captioning of costume or parody, limiting permanence of styling choices, and mutual pre-approval when both parents share custody. Advocacy groups recommend labeling content to reduce confusion and protect children from extended public scrutiny. Such measures are low cost and reduce blowups. Another cautionary note, social media mimicry by children is a generational norm. Kids copy creators. That is how trends spread. Times of India's reporting about North imitating streamers underscores imitation as the proximate cause of the look. Cultural reaction should weigh whether this is ordinary mimicry or something more worrying. Conflating the two without evidence is irresponsible. Let's examine the commerce angle. Critics worry that celebrity children's images feed branding strategies. That suspicion has some structural footing. Media attention drives engagement, and engagement can be monetized. But again, demonstrating intent requires evidence. Observationally, North's look generated attention. Whether that attention was intentionally engineered as part of a brand strategy Remains an allegation without proof. Distinguish outcome from motive. Now, parse the moral panic versus measured concern debate. Some commentators call for immediate protective intervention. Others urge restraint and context. Both positions reveal values. Protective concern prioritizes potential harm prevention, while measured restraint prioritizes sourcing and context. Responsible commentary balances both. Note the public worry while checking sources and avoiding sensational amplification. Now, a series of plausible pathways forward. Private mediation and mutual post-approval could stop escalations. Public, jointly released statements explaining context could calm fans. Nonprofit child safety advocates could be consulted for guidelines. Each approach requires cooperation and a commitment to the child's well-being over headlines. Those are modest but practical solutions. A key legal caveat: allegations about denied access or legal custody changes require court documents. The outlets we cited reported public statements and parental disputes. They did not publish court filings proving a denial of visitation by Kim. Now read the Times of India coverage carefully. It presents the viral clip as imitation of streamers and highlights public reaction on social media. That context reduces the leap from bold look to harmful grooming for many readers. When parsing the clip, consider the cultural origin and the fact that Halloween and cosplay are normative contexts for imitative aesthetics. Let's address the Daily Mail specifics. The tabloid emphasized dramatic visuals and described faux piercings or temporary tattoos in a manner that inflames the readership. Again, mark those claims as tabloid amplification. They reflect editorial choices that prioritize shock over nuance. Use those images as data points, but cross-reference with trade reporting for balanced context. Now, a media literacy point for the audience. When you see a viral clip, check whether it is framed as a costume, imitation, or a regular selfie. Read the trade article for sourcing and cross-check tabloid claims. Social media is a rumor engine. Trade outlets tend to require more verification. That small discipline preserves fairer assessment and protects young ones from runaway spectacle. Next, address the role of parenting norms across generations. Digital native parents and older gen critics often disagree about what constitutes acceptable public displays of children. The North debate is partly generational. What feels performative to one cohort can feel normal to another. Recognize those fault lines when you evaluate the moral charge of a viral clip. Now, a hypothetical PR playbook for calming the story. Issue a joint statement contextualizing the clip as Halloween cosplay. Pledge to consult co-parents before public posts involving kids and add contextual captions to future content. That would neutralize many fan complaints and move the narrative from scandal to standard media management. Practical steps often resolve viral controversies faster than moral grandstanding. Let's talk about parenting under surveillance. Celebrity parents manage real family dynamics while thousands analyze each image. That pressure distorts normal decision-making. When conflict emerges, the public conflates private parenting disagreements with public morality plays. The same solution is private negotiation and public restraint. Reporters can cover the dispute, but should avoid weaponizing a child's image for clicks. Now consider child development research. Experts emphasize that context, permanence, and narration matter. Temporary costume makeup in a caption that says Halloween communicates play. Permanent tattoos or uncontextualized stylings tell a different story. That nuance should guide public reaction. If the look was temporary and clearly framed, moral panic is premature. If there were permanent changes, that would be a different and more serious matter and would require evidence. Let's map out the stakeholders. Kanye, Kim, North, fans, tabloids, advocacy groups, and brand partners. Each actor reads the situation differently. Kanye's vociferous critique signals paternal concern. Kim's defense signals parental contextualization. Fans amplify. Tabloids monetize. Brand partners assess risk. Understanding those incentives explains why the story escalates on certain paths. Next, examine the international angle. Times of India's coverage shows that cultural reading occurs globally. Different countries may have different thresholds of alarm about children's imagery. International readers bring different sensibilities to what counts as offensive or acceptable, and that plurality complicates universal moral judgments. Let's widen the lens to media economics for a moment. In the attention economy, every image generates data that becomes currency: engagements, clicks, and ad impressions. Celebrity parents inevitably operate within that marketplace, and images of children perform twice: as personal documentation and as public content. That dual use is inherently fraught because the metrics that reward virality do not necessarily align with the welfare of young ones. A child's costume might get millions of views and likes, and that virality can easily be mistaken for approval of permanent change rather than ephemeral play. This mismatch between reward signals and child well-being lies at the heart of why commentators escalate quickly from cute to concerning when a clip takes off online. This controversy also reveals the role of parental intention in public assessment. If a parent intentionally creates sensationalized content involving a child, the moral calculus is different than when a parent posts a candid family moment that happens to go viral. Determining intention is difficult without evidence because public posts are performative by nature. Trade reporters and reputable outlets do a better job distinguishing observed outcomes from motive. Tabloids often conflate the two. That conflation fuels the moral panic and makes it harder to have measured conversations about child welfare without the howl of outrage drowning out context. Let's talk about precedent. Other celebrity parenting roles have produced both productive outcomes and grotesque spectacles. When parents have litigated over access or public image, the healthiest resolutions involve private mediation, restorative agreements, and agreed upon public messaging. The nastiest examples involve tabloid escalation and legal entanglements that drew children into the fray. The North moment sits somewhere between these poles, and learning from precedent means urging the parents to pursue quiet conflict resolution rather than public performance. Another dimension is the intersection of race, culture, and aesthetics. North's looks and the subsequent reactions do not exist apart from the cultural optics of girlhood, style, and expression. Historically, girls' looks have been policed and shown in ways that differ from mainstream norms. Critics of the moral panic note that similar looks on children might not provoke the same level of public anxiety, and that racialized judgment complicates the debate. Media literacy requires acknowledging that reactions are filtered through cultural biases as much as through protective instincts. Let's also think about the economic pressures on celebrity parents who run product lines. The overlap between personal brand and commercial interest produces incentives to share family content. That is not necessarily exploitative. For many entrepreneurs, showing family resonates authentically with customers, but the presence of economic incentives requires stronger guardrails around consent and permanency. Temporary costume play is one thing. Recording a child in a way that lives permanently in a monetized archive is different. And that permanence is what critics often object to. Now consider the communication strategies both parents could use to de-escalate. Jointly releasing a short explanatory caption or a mutual statement clarifying intent could immediately defang many rumors. Private parental agreements that outline what is shared publicly and what is kept private could prevent future flare-ups. Those agreements could be as simple as an exchange of messages that the parents honor privately. The public doesn't need to know every detail, but knowing a framework exists reduces speculation and helps reporters cover the story responsibly. This clash reveals the contradictions of parenting in public. We can empathize with a father's protective anger and with a mother defending playful mimicry at the same time. The responsible approach is to check sources, avoid amplifying descriptions, and prioritize private solutions over public spectacle. If the parents pursue mediation and agree to clear protocols for posting their child publicly, the media storm will subside into quiet family practice. Until then, readers should demand sourcing and treat tabloid exaggeration with skepticism. What do you think? Is Kanye right to publicly call out these looks, Or is this another case of tabloid moral panic? Keep it civil in the comments, prioritize the child's well-being, and subscribe for updates as reputable outlets report new facts.